When you see flowering of the white tree, you would think it promotes peace, love, and harmony.
Ha!
Quite the contrary, mon frere. This 2-mana legendary enchantment is all about that violence. You see, when this sapling is in play, all of your legends start seeing red. Take Mary, for instance. Here to bring you tidings of comfort and joy? Nah, here to eat your pie and knock over your tree. And Carrie Zev has brought a little pilfering monkey with her, who's going to steal your presents and then beat you over the head with them.
Ouch, that hurts, you stupid monkey.
Oh hey, can I bring my dog with me for the holidays?
Sure. I don't see why not.
And then it eats your face. So you see, today we're playing the game the way Richard intended, with some good old-fashioned beatdown. We're getting in the red zone.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
You best believe we're about to turn them sideways. We'll take the play. 7 looks good, we'll keep it. Opponent's on a mulligan to 5. Ouch. Inspiring Vantage, Monkey, Amber. Let's pass turn. Spire Bluff from our opponent. Dead Monkey. It's looking like we're playing against Murktide. Untap, drawn to a Sacred Foundry. Play out our Plaza. Inti. Trying to set up Mary for next turn. Pluto Delta. Fetch. Steam Vents. Shock. Opponent's down 17. Dragon's Rage. See if they have another removal spell. We're going to bolt the Dragon's Rage end of turn. Untap. And we draw into a Kithian. Not bad. Play out our Mary. It's going to get a Spell Snare. Combat. Attack for 2. Trigger Inti. We'll discard the Foundry. Inti's going to get +1/+1. Mox Amber revealed. We can use that one. They're going to take 3, go down to 14. Play out Kithian. Mox. We'll keep the untapped one. I forgot we had one in play already. Opponent with 3 cards in hand. Another Dragon's Rage. And a Ragavan. Alright, we drew into a Frodo. Not sure we're going to discard that one. Let's start with an attack with Inti. We're not going to discard. Opponent takes 3. Frodo. Double white. Turn it into a 2/3 with lifelink. They have 1 card in hand. Fiery Islet. And they're going to draw a card. Bobble. Trigger. Look at my top card. Attack in for 3. We're going to 17. They're going to draw off the Bobble. Let me draw into a Plaza. We will most definitely be discarding that one. Combat. Attack with the team. Discard Plaza. Trigger Inti. We're going to put a counter on the Frodo. Another Mox Amber on top. No blocks from our opponent. Kithian's going to transform. And we're going to plus, targeting Ragavan. Opponent with 3 cards in hand. And they scoop it up, going to game 2. We're going to bring Path to Exiles and Sanctifiers. And we're going to remove Zergo and some 2-drops to make room. 7 is interesting. Not so sure how good this is. We're going to mulligan. 6 is medium, but I think we'll keep it. And we'll get rid of a Plaza. Opponent Spire Bluff and a Dragon's Rage. Drawn to Adeline. We're going to start with our Arid Mesa. We'll fetch Basic Plains and the dog. Here we go. Adeline is this deck's top end, the closer that gets the game done. She plays really nicely with Flowering of the White Tree, as she gets buffed as a result of the enchantment, as do the tokens she generates. Even though they aren't legendary, the tree still gives them +1/+1, which makes for a very fast clock. We're going to dash in Ragavan, move to combat, crack for 4, Ragavan triggers. We see Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, we're not casting that one. Adeline, we'll return Ragavan to our hand. Opponent with a land. They have 3 in hand. We know 1's a Ragavan. Ragavan in play. No attacks with the Dragon's Rage. Back our way. We draw a Bolt. Should put us pretty close to finding lethal here. Dash in our Monkey. Alright, Monkey's in play. Move to combat. Attack with the team. Trigger Adeline. So this is going to be a Tidebinder. It's annoying. It's going to hit our Adeline. Before blockers, we'll kill the Tidebinder. Block Isamaru. Block Ragavan. Wrong choices. Second main, another Isamaru. Pass turn back. They have 1 card in hand. It's going to be 2 mana for a Ragavan. Okay. Attack for 2. They have 1 card in hand. We'll block. If I block with Adeline, they have removal. No, we'll block with the dog. Drawn to a Sacred Foundry. Move to combat. This is going to be an attack for 3. Opponent is tapping red. Bolt down the token. They're going down to 2. We're going to hold this Sacred Foundry. We'll pass back. Dragon's Rage. It's a blocker. It's a 3/3 blocker. We're drawn to a Sokazan, which should be lethal. 1, 2, 3. Discard Sokazan. Shock in a Sacred Foundry. Move to combat. And we're 1-0. We're winning die rolls. We'll take the play. 7 a little lackluster in the land department, but I think we're going to keep living on the edge. Arid Mesa. Fetch. Sacred Foundry. Shock. Monkey. Your turn, friend. Blackleaf Cliffs. And a Grief. I imagine they take the Bolt to start with. Exile Daughty Voidwalker. There goes Lightning Bolt. Feign Death. I thought this deck wasn't a thing anymore. Probably take Mary. Maybe Adeline. They go for Zergo. What in the world? Draw into Inti. Move to combat. Swing for 2. Trigger. We find another Ragavan on top. We're not going to be able to use that one. We'll spend 2 mana for an Inti. And I'm getting Bowmaster vibes from their side of the table. Second land. Fetch. Blood Crypt Shock. Ragavan of their own. Lightning Bolt our Inti. Attack for 4. We're going to go down to 13 life. Alright, find our second land. We'll shock that in. Play out our Mary. Move to combat. Kraken for 4. Trigger Mary. We'll draw a card. Draw another land. That's what we're looking for. Ragavan on Ragavan. They're down to 13. They have 3 cards in hand. We're at 11. Put them with Thoughtseize. They're going to take Adeline. And with Adeline discarded, the threats we have access to just aren't good enough, especially when our opponent's holding even more removal. We draw Thalia, but it promptly gets destroyed with Molten Collapse, and we're left helpless in the face of a menacing grief. We succumb to the scam, and we're down a game. Alright, we're going to board out all of our 1 toughness creatures with the exception of Ragavan, and creatures that draw cards because of Bowmasters. We're going to bring in Removal, Sanctifiers, and Boromir. Take the play. 1 lander, unfortunately, I don't think we can keep this. 6 looks much better, we'll keep. And I think we'll get rid of Isamaru. Start with an Inspiring Vantage into a monkey. Put him with the Blackleaf Cliffs. And we're getting scammed. Nope. Okay. Cool. Draw into Mary. I think we want to get this Sanctifier down if we can. So let's start with an attack for 2. Nope. Fatal Push the monkey. Second main. Shinka. Carry Zev. Pass back. Bloodstained Mire. Fetch. Probably a Dalthi Voidwalker. Swamp. And there it is. Draw a second Sanctifier. Play out Mary. Move to combat. Attack with the team. No Fury to worry about here. Other Ragavan into play. We'll draw a card. Find a land. Beautiful. Opponent takes 5. Pilfering Monkey goes away. Castle. Back their way. Blue to Delta. Attacking for 3. We're going down to 17 life. Opponent with the Ragavan of their own. And back to us. As much as I want to use the Sokazan, I think we're going to use it for the Shinka. So we're actually going to play it out. Move to combat. Attack with the team. Trigger Mary. Trigger Carry Zev. Draw a card. Opponent blocks the Mary. Give it first strike. Not dead after all. Ragavan's coming back. Maybe I should have played out the Sanctifier pre-combat. Opponent's down to 11 life. Second main. We'll play out a Sanctifier. They fetch. Blood Crypt. Tapped. Sanctifier triggers. Exile the graveyards. Blue to Delta. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Triggers. Attack with the Voidwalker. We'll take 3. And back our way. Draw into a Lightning Bolt. Pretty close to lethal at this point. We'll play out the Sunbaked Canyon, move to combat, attack him with the team, triggers, monkey into play, draw a card. Opponent's trying to block Carry Zev, not realizing it has Menace. Okay, double block happens. This is fine like this. Bolt the Ragavan, opponent fetches, basic swamp, and a Feign Death. We have a Sanctifier in play, so that's fine. Ragavan gets exiled, Wicked Roll deals us 1, opponent's down 3 life. Second main, Adeline, and a Frodo. Your go, friend. Fable up to 2. No Fury in the deck, so no worry. They discard 2 lands. It's going to be an attack for 5. Meant to block with the Adeline. That was a mistake. Second main, Storm's Wrath. Okay, aggressive. Sunbaked Canyon will draw a card. We found an Inti. It's funny. That will be lethal. Move to combat. Attack for 3. Discard a land. Go into game 3. So we're feeling good from game 2, but game 3 yielded what is one of the worst feelings when playing Modern. I thought my opponent may have boarded out their Ragavans, but to my dismay, they did not. And I kept an opener without a 1-drop. So before I had the opportunity to do anything, Ragavan had already pilfered a Carry Zev out of my deck. I found a path to exile to help stem the bleeding, but had to forego playing a 2-drop to do so. They add a Magus to the board, and I'm still slow to develop, only able to play out my Boromir. An attack puts me down to 9, and they follow up with a Grief, taking Inti out of my hand. Fortunately, I draw another, and play it out on my turn along with a Flowering of the White Tree. But their presence is brief when an Engineered Explosives for 2 wipes them away on the next turn. I draw another land as a follow-up, and succumb to their pressure. We're 1-1. This is round 3. We're on the draw. We'll keep it. Basic Island into a Crab. Drawn to a Mox Amber. We're going to start Sunbaked Canyon into a Ragavan. It's going back their way. Basic Swamp. Opponent mills 3. Trying to unlock, kills our monkey. Draw Isamaru. Pretty good. I don't want to fetch, so I'm going to play out the Sokazan. Amber. Isamaru, and a Thalia. Pass turn back. Opponent polluted Delta. Fetch. Basic Island. Drown in the Loch Thalia. Draw into a Flowering. Really don't want to fetch, but I'm going to. Guess Sacred Foundry. We'll shock it in. Flowering. Inti. Combat. Attack for 5. Trigger. Discard the land. Counter on the dog. Exile another land. Opponent's down to 14. No Archive Trap. Fractured Sanity. Mill 4. Got 35 left in the deck. Land. Mill another 3. And a Murderous Cut. Targeting Inti. Paying the ward. Draw for turn. Found an Adeline, which is pretty good. We'll play that out. Move to combat. Attack. It's going to trigger Adeline. We'll get a 2-2. Opponent's down 7 life. Kill or be killed. Another Fractured Sanity. Down 27 cards in the library. Another Crab. Field of Ruin. It's going to be 6 cards. Back our way. We draw Ragavan. This should be lethal. We'll dash it in. On to game 2. Actually think we don't need to do anything. We're just going to submit the same 60. 7 looks great. We'll keep it. Opponent's on 6 card hand. Watery Grave Shock. Crab people. Draw Kithian, which I like, but we're going to hold that and deal with the crab. Bolt it down. Basic Swamp. Back our way. Draw Arid Mesa. We'll play out the castle. Kithian. Amber. Opponent's paying costs. Go for the throat on the Kithian. Got it. Amber resolves. Nothing to use it with. And with Polluted Delta, they fetch. Basic Island. If this is a Tasha's, that's probably the best card against us. And Exile is about half of our deck. Find another Bolt. 2 mana Inti. I'm going to hold on to this Arid Mesa. We're going to discard that. They've got 2 cards in hand. Draw for turn. Shelldock Isle. Another Tasha's. There's another 17 cards. We're down to 10 cards in our library. And a turn, we're going to bolt. Untap. Flowering of the White Tree is good. We're going to save that for next turn. We should have lethal if we can get it out next. Adeline. Combat. Attack for 2. Trigger Adeline. We'll discard Arid Mesa. Counter on the token. Inspiring Vantage on top. They take 4, down to 10. Inspiring Vantage. Pass it back. There's a good chance we're dead here with this Shelldock Isle. They activate the Isle. And it's another Isle. Never seen that before. They'll hide away 4 once more. Might be too slow. And turn Lightning Bolt. They're down 7. Untap. Draw into a Thalia. Flowering of the White Tree. Opponent with a Drown in the Loch on the Adeline. I think we're still going to have lethal here. Move to combat. Attack for 7. Discard Thalia. Put a counter on the token. Opponent takes 8. 2-1. Round 4, we found ourselves in a slugfest versus Hardened Scales. We open up with a fast 7-card hand on the play, and lead with Isamaru into Flowering of the White Tree. Along with Mary to generate card advantage, we attack them down to 8 on turn 3, and then add Kithian to the board. With a Ragavan in hand, there's a good chance we can attack for lethal next turn. But they have the out. Hardened Scales into an Arcbound Ravager with an Inkmoth Nexus in play means we can only sneak through 4 points of damage, and they have a lethal Infect attack on the Crackback. So we're down a game, but we have 7 strong cards to sideboard in. So despite the loss, I'm still feeling pretty good. Game 2 is much like Game 1, where we get out of the gates quickly. Zurgo and Mary are attacking and drawing us a card on turn 2. We have a Lightning Bolt to keep their first threat, Hanger Backwalker, in check. We play out an Inti and are able to channel a Sokazan for 1 mana as a result. An attack puts them down to 9 life, and it feels like deja vu. But this time, an Arcbound Ravager on the other side is too little too late, and we run them over to take victory in Game 2. Game 3 was close, but the combination of Hardened Scales and Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, was too much for us to handle. An 11/11 Walking Ballista with a Shadow Spear equipped to it helped them to stabilize their life total, despite our Cursed Totem in play. We drew into a Wear Tear, but it was too little too late, as our life total was at 3. A large Construct and Zabaz hit us for the final points of damage. We're 2-2. Alright, for the 3-2, we are on the play. And the 7's medium, but I think we're going to keep. We're going to start with the Sokazan into a Zurgo. Sunken Citadel tapped. Now we draw a 2-drop, which is excellent. Arid Mesa, fetch out a Sacred Foundry, shock it in. Inti, this is probably our best draw. We'll attack for 2, trigger, and we'll discard an Adeline. Pump the Zurgo, see if we can get a Mox off the top. Not a Mox, another Sokazan. Can't use that one. Opponent's down 17. Field of Ruin. They're going to activate the field, get rid of our Foundry, get ourselves a basic. And there's going to be a Fatal Push, or not. Okay, a March. It's going to hit our Inti. Drawn to a Shinka, really wanted a white source. I'll play out the Shinka, move to combat, attack for 3. Opponent's going down to 16. Yield through the turn. The opponent misses a land drop on their next turn, which gives us a chance despite having our own mana woes. We pull the white source and cast out Adeline pre-combat, and they respond by flashing out a Bowmaster with plans to kill our attacking Zergo. But Lightning Bolt shuts down that plan. Sheoldred's Edict does get the best of Zergo on their next turn, which is followed by a March of the Wretched Sorrow for 5 on the following turn cycle. The 5 life gain from the March is significant, and I was concerned they could stabilize if a ring came down on the next turn. Fortunately, it was only a Bowmaster, which spent 2 turns on Ragavan token blocking duty. They were able to add 2 Voidwalkers to the board, but because they have Shadow, they can't block our creatures. We draw and dash out a Zergo, attack for 5, and Lightning Bolt finishes them off. And while we won game 1, I was a little concerned about the matchup because the combination of life gain, board wipes, a ton of removal, and the ring seems like a combination that is tailor-suited to beat a deck like ours. And I wasn't wrong. The next 2 games, the combination of all of the above was way too much. Each game we had some momentum, but then it came to a screeching halt every time a ring entered play. One ring leads to another, which leads to Damnation or Sheoldred, and all is lost. So a 2-3 record when it's all said and done. Not the legendary performance we had hoped for, but a good time nonetheless. Thanks for tuning in today, my friends. Don't worry, I'll see you again in a few short days. Until then, you know the deal. Be well.